Today is the last day, or I guess technically the second to last day of the 2024 MLB regular season, and it's a very, very intense one. There's a lot of different playoff scenarios that could happen. It's really exciting stuff. Baseball's awesome. We're here to tell you all about it, what could happen, especially with that NL wild card, with the Mets, Braves, and the Diamondbacks kind of all dancing with each other, seeing who can make the playoffs because only two of them can make it, and there's three teams. And honestly, that's just where we're going to start, Lewis. So welcome back to Normal Baseball. I'm Alex. Normal Dog, that's Lewis. Lewis, the NL wild card.
The NL wild card, one of, if not the most entertaining end of a regular season I've seen in quite some time, excluding a game 163. This is utter chaos, and I'm here for it.
Yeah, I mean, we were just starting to talk about it. I'll preface first. So, the NL wildcard picture after tonight, we knew the Padres had clinched the number one spot in the NL wildcard. That was a given. We knew that. We've known that for a couple days now. Tonight, all the games were going on, and we wanted to make this before the games ended, but we couldn't because there was just too many things that would change depending on who wins and who loses. So the Padres and Diamondbacks played each other today, and they went into the ninth inning at 0-0, and the Padres hit 3 home runs and took a 5-0 lead, and it was a blowout by the end of it. So the Diamondbacks lost and fell out of the wild card. Well, I guess stayed out of the wild card. The Braves, Travis d'Arnaud hit a walk-off solo homer, and they won, which was insane. And the Mets got blown out by the Brewers. So where we currently stand in the NL wild card is the Braves are in the second spot, up 1 game on the Mets and the Diamondbacks. But the Mets and the Diamondbacks have the same winning percentage, so that makes it a tie, and the Mets have the tiebreaker over the Diamondbacks, so the Mets are in right now. So it's Braves and Mets in those final 2 wildcard spots.
Yeah. Which is utter chaos. I'm here for that.
I mean,
however, Alex, I do think that we did before we started recording, we did go over all the scenarios. Do you want to read out all the scenarios of how each team has their destiny?
I mean, I can't read out all the scenarios because that would just take forever because there's so many different scenarios, which I love. I mean, we can kind of run through one at a time. I wanted to talk more about tonight's games first. I mean, going back to that Diamondbacks Padres game, you're the Diamondbacks, and it's a tie game. It's almost not technically, it's not a must-win game for you, but every game feels like a must-win game at this point, especially with the tight race that I just described. They get 1 out in the ninth, and then they bring in AJ Puck, who has been phenomenal for them. Absolutely phenomenal.
Has been.
And he gives up 2 home runs and literally blows the game for you. How tragic is that, Lewis?
It was just depressing. I felt bad because, like you just said, AJ Puck has been phenomenal for the Diamondbacks since coming over. What worries me the most about this game for the Diamondbacks was the last thing a playoff team wants to see when they're trying to, fight for their lives and make that final playoff push is your reliable guys in the bullpen getting shelled against a team that you might wind up having to play if you get into the playoffs. Just a heartbreaking loss from the Diamondbacks, a real big pick-me-up for the Padres, who, they look to be steamrolling their way into the postseason.
They're hot.
So good on them.
They're really hot.
But, whoa, Diamondbacks, it's going to be a long, long night for them and a long, long day tomorrow before the game starts tomorrow. That's a loss that will sit with you. And even though I have no financial investment on the Diamondbacks or the Padres or anything, I feel that pain. That just must suck. You played a great game in terms of pitching, and then come the ninth inning, your bullpen decides to melt down.
And it's not even like your bullpen decides to melt down. It's AJ Puck. It's not even always like they used 5 different relievers that inning. It's AJ Puck, a guy who you traded for at the deadline, and he's had a 0.33 ERA
Yeah.
in
He's been
27 innings
phenomenal.
pitched. He's been insane. That's like crazy numbers. And then he comes out in his most important appearance, arguably, since you traded for him, and just completely blows up and makes it feel almost hopeless now because the Diamondbacks, I mean, just getting back now, the Diamondbacks essentially need to win tomorrow. Not essentially, but if they lose tomorrow, the Mets would just need to win one of their last 3 games, and they're in, and the Diamondbacks are out.
Right. Which,
So if the Diamondbacks,
wow.
yeah, I mean, if the this kind of just goes back. So if the Diamondbacks lose tomorrow, not only would the Mets only have to win 1 out of their next 3, which includes tomorrow, like the game tomorrow. So we might know at the end of tomorrow or today, I guess, because this is going up today. We might know at the end of today.
Sunday.
But if the Diamondbacks lose, the Braves are also in, no matter what. The Braves could lose all 3 of their next. They could lose their last 3 games, but if the Diamondbacks lose tomorrow, they're still in. I don't see the Braves losing their next 3 games because they've been hot recently. They're on a 5-game win streak right now. They got the momentum from that Travis d'Arnaud.
And their pitching has just looked utterly unstoppable.
You know what I didn't look. Who's pitching for the Diamondbacks tomorrow? Like, who do they have on the bump in their season decider?
I can tell you right now. Actually, according to MLB.com, there is no determined starter.
Wow.
For the Padres, though, it is Martin Perez going, who has a 4.25 ERA this season.
See, because this is such a unique scenario. Because especially if you're in the Diamondbacks' perspective, because there's no finding out for sure if you're in or not on the last day of your season. Like normally, it's designed so that every team finishes on the same day, so that you all know what the playoff picture is as soon as your final game happens. But this year it's not like that because the Braves and the Mets are playing a doubleheader on Monday. So the Braves and the Mets still have 2 games each left, which makes this situation harder to like process almost. Like it just makes it hard to process.
There's a world if the Diamondbacks win tomorrow or today, excuse me, at the time of this posting, and they get to 89 wins, and let's just say the Mets lose out, all of a sudden the Diamondbacks go from the first team out to the last team in.
Right.
Whoa, good on them. It's just, there's so many different scenarios, and I'm very interested to see how the Diamondbacks want to approach this game. Obviously, they're going to try their damn hardest because they want to be in the postseason. But, if you're the Diamondbacks, do you hold back like an arm from the bullpen that you're like, listen, what if we get in? Like, you can't leave anything up to chance, I think, is my personal opinion on it, compared to the Mets and Braves, who will have to play, like, the day before the postseason starts. Like, the Diamondbacks can afford to, I guess, have some wiggle room, which is interesting. But I think that Diamondbacks are going to come in, they're going to have some serious fight, which will be entertaining.
Yeah, should the Diamondbacks win tomorrow, that would make their lives a lot easier. That would take a lot of stress off them because then the Mets would have to win 2 of their last 3 games in order to get into the playoffs.
Which, for the Mets, right now, 3-game losing streak, and Milwaukee is looking to be a tough task, and we've seen it time and time again with the Mets. Going into Atlanta at the end of the season is not an easy task for them. We'll see what they do.
And it's a very deflating 3-game losing streak because they were the hottest team in baseball for months, to be quite honest with you. And then they come into Milwaukee, and then, the whole thing with the Braves happens. They're playing the Braves last week. That series starts on Tuesday. They know a hurricane's coming. Both the game 2 and 3 get canceled, rescheduled to Monday. Now they have to travel in a hurricane, play a really good Brewers team, come all the way back, and then in that, they get slapped around by the Brewers.
Not only that, also beaten up a little bit. I mean, Alvarez is day-to-day now. They don't know if he's going to play.
Yeah.
Lindor is only DHing because I think that back thing, which it sucks to say, I think it's a lot more serious than what the Mets and Lindor are playing it to be. Because if he said that he felt completely fine, so then why are you not playing the field? Like,
I
you've been
mean,
a platinum glover, in all honesty. You're contending for a platinum glove down the stretch. Like, you've been a great defender. Why are you then not playing the field? I get it. You then say that you're 95% and you're going to take it easy. Like, why say that you're 100%
I mean, it's
and then not go play like you're 100%?
it's all about transparency. They're especially like with the intensity of the situation. They're never gonna be fully transparent about that. That's something that after the season ends, if the Mets,
It'll
if
come out. Like, Lindor got back surgery.
right, so whenever the Mets season ends, not even necessarily if it's tomorrow, like even if they make the playoffs, at some point it will come out like Lindor was playing through this injury, like he wasn't at 100%. I'm
Yeah.
not saying they'll use it as an excuse, but like they'll just say like we didn't want to say it because
Mets fans will use that as an excuse. I'll tell you
right. Well, yeah, they might,
that.
but in general, I don't think we'll really know until the Mets season is over, whenever that may be.
Yeah, we'll find out for sure. Obviously, I just want the only reason why I'm complaining about it. I want to just see the best baseball played. And don't get me wrong, Luis Angel Acuna is a great shortstop, but I mean, genuinely, like, not to spoil anything for the offseason, but I think Lindor should win the Platinum Glove this year for the NL.
All right. Yeah, no, Lindor 0 for 4 tonight. 0 for 4 last night, rather, with a couple strikeouts. So not a great return into the lineup for
Isn't
Lindor.
it? You know what I'm now just realizing? It's so ironic that the Brewers are beating up on the Mets at like the second to last series of the season for the Mets, right? When the Brewers played the Mets to open up and got absolutely slapped around by them at Citi Field. That was the whole Reese Hoskins drama. The first real headline of the season was Reese Hoskins sliding into Jeff McNeil, but also
Right.
going 4 for 4 with a homer and two doubles, 5 RBIs. Like,
Right.
just remember that.
Hey,
Now it's like the
Re-
end of the season rolls around and look at what's going on.
Reese Hoskins hit a grand slam last night too. So
He
That
did two
that
nights
that's
ago.
that's or 2 days ago. First game of the series, Reese Hoskins hit a grand slam.
In the first inning off of Sean Manaea, who's been an absolute lockdown starter.
Yeah, so that's just storytelling from the full season, first series of the year, and I guess what was supposed to be the last series of the year.
Yeah.
And this Braves doubleheader, I mean, there's been a lot of controversy around the fact that the Mets and Braves are playing a doubleheader on Monday. After
Yeah.
all, the Braves are home right now. They don't have to travel heading into tomorrow, the doubleheader tomorrow. The
Mhm.
Braves are staying at home. The Mets have to travel back to Atlanta after traveling away from Atlanta, and it's not even like they're playing one game, they're playing two. So there was a lot of controversy with that because
In
Nick, go on.
in one day, nonetheless, right before the playoffs start.
Right.
Like,
So
both
even
of these teams, no matter who wins and who winds up getting in, who gets booted out, you're going into the playoffs gassed, like completely gassed.
yeah, the only way that this doubleheader doesn't matter tomorrow is if the Diamondbacks lose and the Mets win. Then that means that the then that means that the Braves and Mets are the two wild card teams. It just from there, that doubleheader would be for seeding. It wouldn't be for who makes the playoffs. So
Right.
The Mets clinch with a win and a Diamondbacks loss, and the Braves clinch with a Diamondbacks loss. So we
Yeah.
could be going into that series on Monday with some intensity just for seeding, but you know if you
To be fair,
the
I do
clinch
think
playoff
that
berths.
whatever team wins the series, like wins that doubleheader, if it is just for seeding, is going to be happy because you're getting the difference of playing in Milwaukee, which, hey, it's getting cold where we are now here in New York. Like, I can only imagine what it's like Midwest, a little bit more north. It's getting cold there as compared to playing in sunny San Diego, which beautiful atmosphere, beautiful environment to be in. Definitely makes it probably a lot easier to just play baseball if it's like a more comfortable weather to play in. Like, I feel like I'm saying that the wrong way, but if the weather's nicer, I feel like you'd want to play baseball in that weather. So you'd want to compete for seeding at that point.
Yeah, but I mean, like at that point, you're in the playoffs. So like, worst comes to worst, you have the worst matchup, but listen. It's better than being out of the
You're in, yeah.
playoffs. So
Your team makes all the sales from postseason gear. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just so tough. It's such a weird situation because none of this has ever happened. And what I was saying before was going into that series last week between the Braves and the Mets, they knew that that hurricane was coming. They knew that Thursday's game, at least Thursday's game, was probably going to be canceled. Wednesday wasn't a for sure thing, but Thursday's game was definitely going to be canceled. And
Right.
from what I saw, the Braves refused to move Thursday's game to Monday or play a doubleheader on Monday and then just play the doubleheader on like last Monday, play a normal game on Tuesday, and then Wednesday, Thursday, no game because they know the hurricane's coming, which would make a lot more sense because then after the game on Tuesday, the Mets would have been able to leave and get to Milwaukee. Honestly, that would be 2 days before the series even started. So that would have been the ample, like the perfect way to do it. The season would end on the right day. There would be less travel for the Mets, but of course, the Braves aren't going to do that because this favors the Braves. This situation favors the Braves. So
Yeah, totally.
if it's their choice because it's their home stadium, and I guess Manfred didn't do anything about it either. So if it's their choice, why would they
No, it's
do
the
that?
Braves' choice. It's not like Manfred can step in and say like, no, you're going to play this game. It's the Braves and their ownership and their front office gets to decide
And
that
it
because
makes
they're
sense
playing
from
in
their
their home
perspective.
stadium.
It makes sense
Yeah,
from their perspective.
it makes sense from the Braves' perspective. For 29 other fan bases, you should look at that and be like, little messed up. Like, why
It's
not
a little
finish
scummy,
the season on the same day with everyone else? And yeah, it's a little scummy,
but
but that's baseball. That's baseball.
you got to do what you got to do. But I agree. I think it was wrong. I think what they really should have done is knowing that a hurricane of that strength, even last week we knew Wednesday and Thursday. We definitely knew Thursday was going to be canceled. We
Yeah.
um there was a chance of Wednesday, and obviously it wound up being Wednesday. They best for baseball. They should have played a doubleheader on Monday.
Right. That's best for baseball. Best for the Braves was play this doubleheader on Monday.
And worst comes to worse, like you just moved Thursday's game to last Monday, so that today would, or rather tomorrow would only be one game as opposed to a doubleheader. So there was a bunch of different ways they could have done this 10 times, 50,000 times better. And they just chose to do none of those things and make probably the worst possibility, the worst pivot of the situation. In my opinion, it's the worst pivot they could have made.
Yes, but to play the other side of the coin for Atlanta, it's the best idea because guess what? You're getting the Mets after they assume they would get beat around by Milwaukee. So far, they have.
But
Like they have to go through these harsh travel conditions, and I can imagine that's not easy. You're gonna
but
basically play your game in Milwaukee today. At the time of this, like the time of this going up, the Mets will be playing or will be going to play in Milwaukee. Right after that game's over, they're getting on a plane and going to Atlanta for a two-game double for a double header on a day where everybody else in baseball is off.
but
Like
but
it favors the Braves so much.
right, but I'm just saying like that. Think about how it's insane that the Braves must, like, the thought process then, I guess, going back at that is what the Braves don't think that they would have beaten the Mets. The Braves don't, the
Yeah, you take every advantage you can get.
I
I think
get I
even if the
get that, but
Braves
if
were
you
a
if you
100
have
win
a better
team,
team, you wouldn't have needed to worry, and you could have played it more fair. You could have played fair if you're the Braves, which is just
yes.
like kind of a moral thing rather than a strategy thing.
Yeah, no, no, you're right about
So
that. Listen,
it's just a
Karma will
bad
get to
taste.
them.
It's a bad taste in the mouth, It's a very like Braves. You could have done this. It would have been 10 times better for everyone involved, but you
Yes.
didn't. You didn't. So it's weird, and we're gonna have to see what happens today in these games today, because again, if the Diamondbacks lose and the Mets win, it Monday really doesn't matter in the long run. It
Monday
matters.
comes
It
down to see.
matters, but at least they both made the playoffs, so like they really can't complain that much.
So what I'm basically saying now is I hope the Diamondbacks win to make that doubleheader the most intense doubleheader ever played in baseball history.
Right. So yeah, that would be insane because especially if the Diamondbacks win and the Braves lose, because that would put the Diamondbacks in the first wild card spot, which
Second.
second wild card spot. But it would be impossible for them to get the second wild card spot because the Braves or the Mets is going to win another game at some point.
Yeah.
So if the Diamondbacks win tomorrow, it could be an insane doubleheader on Monday, and I will be watching every single pitch.
Oh, I'll be damned if I miss a pitch of that.
Yeah, so we're gonna have to stay tuned for that. Moving on to I guess we'll stay in the NL really quick in terms of playoff picture. Not Diamondbacks. The Dodgers clinched up the top seed in baseball. They clinched the 1 seed, so they have home field advantage for the entirety of the playoffs. If I told you that at the beginning of the season, you would have said, "Yeah, that makes sense." But you wouldn't. You probably also would have thought that they would have won over 100 games, and they didn't.
I actually genuinely, before the season, me and one of my bosses at my job wrote down our predictions for the season, and we both had the Dodgers having almost. I had them at 108 wins. He had them at 111.
Yeah. So you would have told me they won at least 100 games. They only won 97 games. I say only, like it's not better than everyone else, obviously, but they won 97 games, which this is the first time since I think 2014 that no teams won over 100 games.
Yeah, something like that. And
I like it.
The team that came closest was the Angels. Whoa.
let's get competitive. That's what we like. But yeah, so the Dodgers locked up top seed.
And you know why the Dodgers did not hit 100 wins? Because they didn't have the 24 games against the Rockies. Like, they didn't have to play the entire National League a whole bunch more than playing the American League, and that's just making a competitive schedule.
Right,
like,
the balanced
Dodgers
schedule.
had to come east and play some of the, like, the Yankees, the Red Sox. They had to come do all those things, which made it more balanced. And guess what? That's who the Dodgers are. They're a 97 win baseball team.
I actually really quickly want to check who owns the tiebreaker over the Brewers and the Phillies, because that would determine who gets the 2 seed. If the Phillies have the tiebreaker over the Brewers, then that means it's definitely Phillies against Padres. Or if I'm thinking about that correct.
Brewers. It would be Brewers against the last wild card team.
It would be whatever it is right now. However it's laid out right now would be how it is. Yeah, so it would
the third division winner plays the final.
Right. So the Phillies would get the bye if they own the tiebreaker over the Brewers. Which do they? Let's see.
I believe the Phillies do have the tiebreaker.
Brewers.
I have not looked that up.
Yeah, the Phillies are 4-2 against the Brewers this season, so that means they have locked up the 2 seed too. So they have the bye no matter what.
And that means also the Brewers locked up the 3 seed.
Correct. But if the Brewers had the tiebreaker over the Phillies, then
if they won today, then they would move to the 2 seed. Atlanta would be in the 3
seed. If they won and the Phillies lost.
Right.
Yeah. All right. This is
craziness.
It is crazy. If we want to move to the American League now, which is all pretty much locked up.
Yeah.
So the American League, the Yankees clinched a home field advantage for at least till the ALCS, because they had the top record in the American League. They could tie with the Guardians in terms of actual record, but the Yankees have the tiebreaker over the Guardians, so they clinch the 1 seed in the AL, thanks to the Astros beating the Guardians. I just want to take a pit stop really quick. Jose Ramirez is 1 home run away from a 40-40 season. He homered yesterday.
40 doubles too.
Even better. So he has He has today to do it. Will he do it?
He'll do it.
Will he do it?
He'll do it. Jose Ramirez is the most underrated player in baseball, the most consistent player in baseball. And if there is one thing that I cannot wait to read on his Hall of Fame plaque one day, is the fact that he went 40-40-40 and people could not stop ignoring him. Like, that's just how it feels for Jose Ramirez, which sucks because he's such a great baseball player, probably a top 10 player in the game right now. Top 10, like, probably a top, 30 third baseman of all time, honestly. Like,
30?
he's
Top 30? He's probably
insane.
higher than that. Way higher than that.
Well, I'm being lenient. I want to be polite. That
I
puts him
no.
with 29 other players, one from each team. That's polite. That's polite.
No, that's a crazy way of thinking about it. But you mentioned underrated, and I just really need to mention this. I meant to mention it before when we were talking about the Padres and Diamondbacks. I don't know if this is just a me thing, because I don't think I've seen anyone mention this.
Right.
Is Manny Machado having an underrated season? Because I would say yes.
His season started so bad.
His season started so bad, and I was watching the Diamondbacks and Padres yesterday, and he's hitting 277 with an 804 OPS, and he has 29 homers and 105 RBIs. And he still is one of the best defensive third basemen in baseball. Like, what a season.
Yeah, he's crazy. Let's not forget, by the way, that since the All-Star break, he's hitting 286. Like, the dude, Manny Machado is that dude. That's why I love him so goddamn much. He's a fabulous, fabulous third baseman. Should have won that MVP in 2021. And
yeah, if only.
I look forward to seeing him, like, lead the charge, honestly. Like, he's the vet on that Padres team. He's the guy that came there in free agency and said, I want to make a contender here.
Yeah.
Like, that's for lack of a better term, that's true fucking shit, man. Like, that's cool. Go there and win. And that's what he's done. Good on him. Like, he's going to lead this team, which sadly, by the way, just lost Ha-Seong Kim to shoulder surgery for the remainder of the season and postseason, which that sucks.
That is rough.
If there's
but
one thing
Bogarts,
about Padres that we know,
right?
They figure it out.
Bogarts is playing has been playing short now, so they moved him back there. Cronenworth's going to be playing second, and then
with Arias
or Solano. You know, there's a lot of different combinations they can make. So, they have ways to pivot, which is nice for them. I want to move back to the AL wild card really quick because there's a very interesting situation that I want to talk about, and it is with the Kansas City Royals. So the Kansas City Royals are in the wild card. They've clinched a playoff berth. They are the third wild card spot in the AL right now. However, the team that's right in front of them, the Detroit Tigers, they are one game above them. And if the Royals win tomorrow and the Tigers lose, the Royals jump them because they own the tiebreaker. And then instead of playing the Orioles, they'd be playing the Astros. So if you're the Royal, the O's, they're both really good teams, but it's the Astros have been a lot more hot than the Orioles have been, especially recently. So if you're the Royals, wouldn't you rather play the Orioles?
Here's my hot take for the episode. I think the Orioles are like the kid in school that has the cheese touch. You don't want to get anywhere near them. I think, especially after what happened last season and how they collapsed sort of towards the end of this season, they are coming into the postseason where, guess what? They are hosting a playoff series this time. Like, they're coming in with not only the fact that they'll be at home, but, like, they want revenge on everyone. And I think that the Orioles are the team that you don't want to play. If I am the Royals, I'm completely okay with trying to go into Houston with a team that sure has been hot since the wild card, but like we talked about last episode, I don't think that I would trust any pitching staff more in baseball going into the postseason than the Royals pitching staff. Radians, Lugo, Waka.
So you would rather face an Orioles team with the young
I'd
core.
rather face the Astros.
Correct. Sorry, you'd rather face you'd rather not face the Orioles team with the young core than the Astros team that has been completely dominant, borderline dynasty stuff with
Yeah,
playoff veterans like Jose Altuve, Alex Bregman. Honestly, Yordan Alvarez counts at this point.
he's an all-time playoff performer.
Jeremy Pena, who went off in the playoffs 2 years ago. We know he's got it in there, and he's having a good season this year.
$500.
I don't want to go anywhere near the Astros in the postseason if I can prevent it. I think
I would take my chances with the Astros rather than
I'll throw it.
running
That's
headfirst.
I completely disagree with that. I will take the Orioles. I'm definitely taking the Orioles. If I'm the Royals, I'm losing on purpose in the final game of the season to secure the fact that you would play the Orioles as opposed to the Astros. I would want no part of the Astros in the playoffs. No part of them I want.
Really?
I don't think that the Royals should lose on purpose. I'm not saying they definitely should do that, but I'm saying it wouldn't be a bad idea. In my opinion, I don't want the Astros. I just don't. I know the Orioles have a better record, but in the grand scheme of things, not only are the Astros hot, they're not like on fire, but they're hotter than the Orioles have been in the last few months, especially since the All-Star break. But the Astros also have all those playoff veterans, and I don't go against the Astros in the playoffs. Is what I've learned since 2017. I know you could say whatever you want about 2017, but those guys know what they're doing in the playoffs, and I wouldn't want to go near the Astros in the playoffs, especially if I'm a struggling Royals team.
I understand what you're saying, but my defense is that I think that out of the 4 teams that would be playing on Wild Card Weekend, I think in the American League, that is, I think the Royals have the best pitching staff, and that is a massive advantage because pitching is just like defense in football. Pitching wins you championships. It's that simple.
But
And
there's
that's why
no
I'm saying that you want to try to avoid the Orioles because I think the Orioles Orioles went 4-2 against the Royals and they smacked them around a little bit. So that's why I'm saying if you're the Royals,
but
you
the
want to avoid the Orioles.
but the Royals went 3-4 against the Astros. So it's not like they played one more game. Like it's not like I completely disagree. I don't think there's much basis behind that. In my opinion, it's more of you just saying I think the Orioles are
Yeah.
I don't know. You just think
I'm
the
saying
Orioles are better.
I think the Orioles are gonna have a lot to play for, like on top of the fact that they went out in such horrendous fashion, honestly, in 2023 for a 101 win baseball team. With that and the fact that they are playing at home, I would rather.
So would the
if I am
Astros.
Excuse me.
The Astros would be playing at home too.
I understand that, Alex, but I'm saying to you that I think the Orioles have, with that young team, I think that playing at home is a big comfort thing for them. It makes them feel so much more secure. It makes them feel like they can be a better baseball team than what they are on the road.
Well, now I need to
And
look at the Orioles' home and away record.
the Orioles at home are 44-37, and away they are 46-34. So sure, they have a better home, they have a better away record. But I'm saying that when it comes to the playoffs, it's all just feeling that I'm saying. Besides the fact that the Royals, I think, have
But
the
then
better
what?
pitching staff. I'm just saying that I think that the Orioles are the team to get the hottest out of the 4 teams. You can say anything you want about the Astros. That's just what I feel. I feel like the Orioles will be the hottest team going into the playoffs. Like when they make it in, when the playoffs start, I think the Orioles will be the hottest team. That's all that it is.
So, but there's no basis behind that. It's just you thinking.
No, it's just my feeling. I just feel like the factors are set up perfectly for the Orioles to be like, we are coming out of this dugout every inning and we are running it down the other team's throat. I don't give a fuck who's on the other side of the field. I
Right,
think
but you're
that's
acting. But
simply
that.
what I think
But
the
you're
Orioles
acting
are
like.
thinking.
But you're acting like they're like a powerhouse dynasty of the league. Like they're not.
I'm not saying that they are. I never said that.
Right, but you're saying that they're just gonna come out and be like, all right, well, we're just gonna win. Like we're winning today. But doesn't every team do that?
I'm not saying that they're just
I don't know.
deciding when to win and when to lose. I'm saying that I think that they would just be the bigger threat of the two. I
Hasn't the
take my
Royals
chances with the Astros.
hasn't the Royals bullpen been like one of the worst in baseball since the All-Star break?
Not
Hasn't the Royals bullpen
entirely. I
been
think they've had
completely
2 or
awful?
3. They've had a lot of bad moments, yes, but I believe that they also have a few good guys to come out of that.
I'm not as convinced on the Royals pitching staff either as you are. I don't think.
I'm convinced. I said starting. I said starting pitching.
Correct, but the bullpen is arguably more important than starting. Well, depending on how you look at it, but they don't have a guy that can come out of the bullpen, a starter that could just start coming out of the bullpen, in my opinion. Um,
No, they definitely don't. I'll
and they're
definitely agree with you on that.
I don't think their bullpen's all that either. So, I mean, they definitely
Okay.
could be good. I don't know. I cannot wrap my head around wanting to play the Astros over the Orioles. I just can't wrap my head around that, especially
It's
for a
just a
team,
feeling thing for me.
especially for a team that struggled like the Royals have recently. I just can't see them wanting that. If
I
I'm
got
if
you.
I'm the
I got you.
Royals, I come out tomorrow and I'm like, listen, I'm not saying lose the game, but it's not the end of the world if we do. Like,
Yeah, they already have their spot. I will say what it would be interesting is hypothetical if the Royals lose and the Tigers can do whatever at that point. Tigers play the Orioles. Tigers just went into Camden and took 2 out of 3 in like the most dominant form you could for a team that has so many good players. Like they completely shut down Gunnar Henderson for a series. They shut down Anthony Santander after the first game where he walked them off. Adley Rutschman has been a non-factor. Cedric Mullins, sure, he hit a homer, but it was like Chris Paul cuts the lead to 42 homer. Like the game was already over at that point. Just Tigers kind of have the Orioles number a little bit in Camden because they just played there. So that would be an interesting series to watch. Sadly, it's only at max 3 games, but still be interesting.
so now let me ask you this: Is the Tigers, the Orioles at the point they played the Tigers? Correct me if I'm wrong. We're still in the division race with the Yankees, right? Like they
Yes.
still could have won the AL East,
Yes.
and they were playing at home against the
Yeah.
Tigers,
Yes.
and the Tigers kicked their ass.
In 2 out of the 3, yes.
So they weren't able to get it done when it mattered at home.
Probably,
So I'm going back to your
okay.
playoff argument with the Orioles. If they weren't
Because
able to do
what?
it to win the division,
Okay, but was it the playoffs? No.
I don't know.
That's all that
But
I'm saying, Alex. I
it was
think
still
the
really
day
important
that
games.
day off that the Orioles have, that every team has except for the Mets and Braves, I'm saying that day off is the transition day where everything goes from regular season fan appreciation, oh my god we love you guys, to let's pack the fucking house, let's get loud, and let's go win a fucking ball game. Like I'm saying that once that switch is flipped, I think the Orioles are the team that the Royals would not want to face. Unlike the Tigers, who, like I just said, have their number from literally the series that they played not even 10 days ago. That's why I'm saying the Royals should look to play the Astros.
I'm seeing your argument more, but now I'm seeing it more for the Tigers' sake. Like if I'm the Tigers, I want to
The
play the
Tigers
Orioles.
want to play the Orioles. The Tigers want to play the Orioles. I
Correct.
was arguing that the Royals should not want to play the
No, but
Orioles.
I
I
but
think the
that I
Royals should
also
want to play the
no,
Astros.
no, correct, but that I disagree with too. I think that the Royals should want to play the should want to play the Orioles. But anyway, we're getting too off
Too
target here.
technical. Too technical.
We've made our points. We're just walking in circles. So anyway,
They are all in the playoffs. That's
they
what mattered.
they are all in the playoffs, and I just wanted to also pose this question to you. We're talking about being hot going into the playoffs and who's hot, who's not. This kind of goes to clinching your division, the division winners. Would you rather be like the Brewers, Guardians, or Phillies who clinched early, like not within the last week of the season, or would you rather be like the Yankees, Dodgers, or Astros who clinch in like the final week of the season and you could argue there's a momentum boost that comes along with clinching in the final week of the season. What would you rather win early and calmly, or win late and narrowly?
So I think we're both also familiar with our father. You and I, old school baseball guy of like You want a starter to go 8 innings type of guy. And I'll admit that sort of rubbed off on me. Like I want to see the guys that play every day and play their hardest. That's what makes me want to say like I'd rather clinch a little bit later. But at the same time, you don't give yourself much wiggle room. Like you don't give yourself
Right.
time to maybe give, for example, the Yankees to give Judge a day off, to give a guy like Cole, like, hey, take an extra day before you start. Like you don't have that luxury as compared to the Phillies, who sure Ranger Suarez has fallen off a cliff, but they've also been like taking him slow. They're not making him go as long in starts anymore. Like that's the give and take. But honestly, I think going to go a little old school baseball here. I want to see the guys play more and want to see them play harder at all times. I'd rather clinch late.
Well, because in theory, clinching early could either mean one of two things. It either means your division's really bad or you're an insanely good team. But now,
Right.
if you look at the Phillies, like they clinched a little while ago, and they're 3-7 in their last 10. So they have
Were they the
not.
first to clinch?
No, the Guardians or the Brewers were, because both Central divisions are. The Brewers were definitely the first team to clinch. But anyway,
Oh,
like the
yes.
Phillies are now 3-7 in their last 10. They haven't had that momentum boost of winning the division. Like that's kind of gone, obviously. So now they're kind of
Mhm.
going into the playoffs with almost like no momentum. I mean, I know they have the first round bye, but
Yeah, but then again, we've seen the Phillies come into the playoffs over the last couple of years and just wreak havoc
that is true.
as they do.
That is true. They do have home field too in that first series, so I don't know. I don't know which
Which
one I'd
would be
rather.
against the Braves.
Yeah. I'd rather be like the Brewers. The Brewers have very comfortably won their division and they're still playing well.
Yeah, well, that's just the NL Central.
Yeah. But I wouldn't mind being in an Astro situation where you finally clinched and now you're still playing well and but you're also the Astros. I just wanted to pose that question. That being said, who do you think the hottest team is going into the playoffs?
The hottest team based on the regular season going into the playoffs, I think
The
it's a
hottest team
hands
based
down.
based on right now.
Yeah, I think it's hands down like chalk answer here. Let's do. Can we do one from each division? One from each league.
Sure. Who's the hottest
All right.
AL? Who's the hottest NL?
In the I'm going to start in the National League because it's the chalk answer. It's the Dodgers.
It is.
Shohei
It is.
Ohtani and everyone else is just on a different planet. I'm hoping that we don't see Mookie and Freddie combined for a 1 for 21 effort in the postseason because man, Shohei is special and it would be so cool.
There's an
So cool
there's an
to
argument for
see
the
him win.
Padres there for the
Yes,
hottest
there is
team.
an argument for the Padres. However, you're talking about the Los Angeles Dodgers that sure it was against the Marlins, put up 20 fucking runs.
Yeah.
Shohei went 50-50.
And
You know,
I'd say there's also a very good argument if the Braves win their last 3 games of the season, I think they will undoubtedly be the hottest team going into the playoffs. They would be on an 8-game winning streak heading into the playoffs. And
yeah,
you
but
got
they'd
to
also be depleted. They'd be depleted.
why would they be depleted?
They played a doubleheader the day before the playoffs start.
Yeah, but that like I don't think that would deplete you if you won both of those games. If you won both of those
Yeah,
games that and you're
maybe.
on an 8-game winning streak, I think you're coming into the office with a smile on your face the next day, not going, "Oh, I'm so tired," you know?
No, yeah, you're right. You're right. And then in the American League, I'm going to say it's the Tigers, not only because
That's
they are 8-2 in their last 10, but because their lineup has just simply put on an offensive show since the All Star break. What is the stat? I think it's from August 11th. The Fangraphs had the Tigers at a 0.2% chance to make the playoffs. And you know what the Tigers did? They saw that shit and laughed.
yeah.
They said, it does not matter. Show us all the numbers you want. Show us all the stats you want. This 10-year drought is coming to an end at the hands of Matt Vierling, Parker Meadows, and goddamn Riley Green. He just, they have all been fabulous. They've all been amazing. Pitching staff has really picked it up. Scooble's going to win the Triple Crown. Like, the Tigers have it. The Tigers have it right now. And honestly, I don't think there's any stopping them.
Yeah,
They pop champagne with their owner.
I
It
I'd
was so
even
cool.
I'd even make the argument that they're the only hot team in the AL.
Yeah,
No other
yeah.
team, no other playoff team in the AL is like on a heater. I mean,
My
the Astros have been the best team, like one of the best teams in the second half, but
Yeah, that was gonna be my other like thought, and
that's more
more
of like a
so because
long
the Astros have spent the last 7 years
right.
cakewalking to the ALCS.
Yeah.
So it's like hard to deny that, but at the same time, I don't think that you can shy away from what the Tigers have done and what I hope they continue to do in the postseason.
Yeah. I think I'd agree. I want to mention also shout out to the Minnesota Twins, who had one of the most crazy fall offs in recent history.
28-36 since the All Star break.
Just completely fell out of the playoffs. Anyway, um, now let's talk about the Oakland Athletics. I mean, just winding down here, they played their final game in Oakland. It was an emotional day. It was a great game. They won. They won their final game in Oakland, and it was great. Lewis, what do you think? Without don't go on your John Fisher. Well, we're not talking about John
No, no,
Fisher.
no, I'm not. I'm
Before
not. I'm
before you,
not. I'm not.
I know.
I'm not. I'm not. I promise.
Okay.
So, I'll admit it. Alex and I, we're from New York. All right, like we live on the opposite side of the country from the Oakland Coliseum. The only time either one of us have ever seen it in person was last summer. This most recent summer, I could see it for a brief moment while standing, in San Francisco. I saw it. Watching that game and thinking about how many times I've watched the Yankees walk in there once a year and play, watching the Mets play there every once in a while, the 2020 postseason, like in the commercial breaks, I was watching and looking into all the Oakland Athletics players that could have been kept around and genuinely could have made the Athletics a 100-win baseball team. When that final out, Travis Jankowski grounded out to third base, and I started hearing Mark Costi speak, and I was already getting a little bit emotional when he said, "Let's get that chant, the best chant in baseball, going one more time," and I heard "Let's go Oakland." I cried. I genuinely cried, and I don't know why. I have zero emotional connection to the Oakland Athletics and their stadium. I'm just gonna miss it. Like, I'm going to miss the Oakland A's. I'm going to miss that area of baseball with one of the most passionate fan bases, and it was just so depressing, so sad. It was a bittersweet ending to something that was guaranteed to end, and it just sucks.
Yeah, it sucks. I mean, I feel bad for their fans. I wasn't too emotional about it. I mean, I saw a couple things. The only thing that really got me was just the amount of people that were losing their jobs now because the team's leaving. I know, like, their groundskeeper was there for like 30 or 40 years or something like that, and he was like crying on the field right before the game or something like that. That got me the
What's his
most.
name? Gus Dobbs, the 92-year-old, security ticket employee. Like,
Yeah. I mean,
you're taking out hundreds of jobs for the Oakland area, which needs it.
I mean, the 92-year-olds, I mean, I'm not sure he needs that job.
No, but I'm just.
But I agree. Like, it's just sad. I feel really bad for the fans. It sucks. It sucks. But maybe one day there will be baseball in Oakland again.
Yeah,
You never know.
yeah.
I also
I
saw
could definitely
some.
see the Giants putting their AAA team in Oakland eventually.
I also saw something that really, really, really pissed me off. I saw a post. Forgot who it was by, but I saw a post that was comparing, like, you know how you can do Baseball Reference, you can compare the seasons, and it has like the box that pulls up everyone's stats and it highlights whoever has the better stat out of the two players.
Yeah.
So I saw someone do that with Luis Arias and Shohei Ohtani, and they were like, these are the two guys fighting for the batting title. And some people still like to say that batting average means value, because Luis Arias obviously doesn't have 50 homers and 50 steals, but he's hitting 317 or whatever.
13.
313. That just pissed me off, trying to say that Luis Arias like isn't valuable because he's not Shohei Ohtani. It's like, no shit, he's not Shohei Ohtani. But like trying to say that just because Luis Arias is one of the best pure hitters in baseball history, to be quite honest with you, already.
Yeah.
But trying to discount his value just to meet ride
Get
Shohei
likes on
Ohtani.
Twitter.
Yeah, to meet ride Shohei Ohtani a little more. That pissed me off. I had to mention it. I was gonna tell you, I forgot to tell you, so I'm telling you now. It just pissed me off. It really pissed me
Oh
off.
yeah,
I will not
people that just
tolerate Luis
box score
Arias.
watch and stat watch are not. They're on social media to get interactions and to be noticed. Which
I will not
you know,
tolerate Luis Arias slander.
yeah, Luis Arias. Hey, show it off, baby. Show it off. We're Luis Arias fans around here. All right,
Yeah.
and you can say whatever the hell you want about him. I will wear this jersey proudly as much as I possibly
I
can.
just think baseball perspective, like we don't even have to be like a super fan of Luis Arias to understand that like just because he's not Shohei Ohtani doesn't mean he's not valuable because he gets on base a lot. Like it just
The
makes
thing about
no
the thing
sense.
about baseball is that, at least for me personally, every ball player has my respect in Major League Baseball. Like you are doing something that, besides Jacob DeGrom, I don't think I could get a hit off of a Major League pitcher. Which, that speaks for itself. And the fact
let's
that
settle
Luis
down.
Arias is
Settle
doing it
down.
and hitting at a 313 clip,
This guy.
which, by the way, is only a 31.3% chance for him to get a hit, or, every 100 at bats, he gets 31 hits. Like, and we're talking about him being one of the best hitters in baseball. That is so impressive. Like, don't discount
Yeah.
Luis Arias to make Shohei Ohtani, like, put him on some pedestal. He's already on a pedestal. The dude is literally probably, if he plays the next 9 years of his contract with the Dodgers and pitches and hits, we could talk greatest of all time, bar none. Like, don't compare
Yeah.
two guys who have made a profession
Oh,
doing it
yeah.
completely different ways.
Yeah. All right. I just wanted to mention that. I don't want to go on a tangent. We're done with what we needed to talk about, so we'll get out of here.
Well, hold on. There's one more thing. There's one more thing.
All
Look at
right.
this photo of Bobby Witt Jr.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you guys for watching. This is going to be a fun last 2 days technically of the season. We thank you guys for watching. We will be back before the playoffs, probably before the playoffs, to just kind of recap what's going on, what the playoffs situation looks like, and all that. So thank you guys for watching. We will see you guys next time. Get out. Peace.